My name's Ronan, I'm 18. I study German and Spanish in DCU and my pronouns are he, him. Around 12 or 13 I was questioning my sexuality, and through that I came to question my gender because I was thinking in a relationship I wouldn't be the girl in the relationship. I just knew. I went through a lot of different labels and my friends were a great support in that because I had only come out to them as questioning, and they were always super open to try out pronouns, try out new names, whatever I wanted. They were really great. Then I eventually came out as trans guy, and I just immediately felt so much more comfortable, so much more like myself. I was in an all-girls school, which, it wasn't great as a trans guy, obviously being in an all-girls school. I asked my vice principal in my school to just announce it to the whole year because I was still quite shy at the time. I don't think I could have stood up in front of 100 people and said I'm trans. Now I probably could, but obviously I had just come out, so I wasn't allowed to do that. But it was just my close friend group and then everybody. I didn't want to be having to come into school and have to tell a new teacher every day, and then some teachers know and some teachers not know. So I just got it all done in the one go. The one thing that they were good with was the name. I don't know why, but it just happened to be that they were really good with switching names, all the teachers. But one problem was the pronouns. They just couldn't seem to get them. I don't know what it was. And they would say things like good girl and ladies, that kind of thing never stopped really. Even after I talked to some teachers and say, listen, this is making me really uncomfortable, could you please even just try to be more aware of the language that you're using and that there is gender neutral alternatives. I gave them some suggestions of gender neutral alternatives to use, but it never really did stop. On one hand, they were respecting my name, but then not the pronouns, so it felt like they just thought I was just a girl who had changed her name, or just that they didn't see me as male, that they just thought I was some girl who they had to call a boy. And it was really hard going into school every day knowing that I'd be called a girl, and all day, every day by every single teacher nearly. And it was really hard on me personally as well because school really suits me as a person. I'm very academic, so it did put me off in a bit, and that was really sad. I liked school, so. My school had a uniform with a jumper and a skirt. Obviously not very comfortable for me. So when I did come out at that meeting, the principal said you can wear the tracksuit bottoms with the school jumper. So it didn't look great. For the whole of my transition year, I wore the jumper and the tracksuit bottoms. At the start of 5th year, my school was having a whole school inspection. I went to my principal and I said, what do you want me to do? Because there's going to be inspectors here. And she said, actually, you can go back to the shop where our uniforms are sold, and they already have a pair of trousers that are in the same colour as our uniform. And I was disappointed because I just thought, well, the option was there, so why didn't you give it to me before? What I was told was that if you have trousers, then everybody else is going to want them as well. And I was kind of like, well, why can't they all have them?
And now is the trousers in school for everyone? Or?
No, they still haven't. Obviously, friends and family who aren't trans can't ever really properly understand what it's like, but it's really important for the trans person to have somebody who they can talk to about how they're feeling, even if they can't understand. That was one of the best things about my friend group, is that they were always there to listen. You don't always have to understand how I'm feeling or understand exactly what I'm going through, because all I need to know is that you're there to support me and that you'll listen to me. If you don't have a supportive group of friends in school, there's always support groups to belong to, and Tiny have support groups, and that there's always the internet. You can find so many people on the internet that will support you and love you, and there's so many great communities. Everyone should have access to a uniform that best represents their gender. Nobody should be made to feel uncomfortable or singled out in their uniform. I'd also love for there to be TENI training every year. For TENI to give workshops to teachers to teach them about their trans students that they probably do have and don't realise, and for Tenny to help teachers create a more welcoming environment for students who are trans or who may be questioning their identity and are scared to come out in school. I think that's really important, that teachers know about LGBT issues and that LGBT issues are spoken about in the classroom, because in my school they weren't. One thing that I would have loved was for me to pick a teacher or for the principal to check in on me and see how I was doing, because after I came out, that was kind of it. Like, they sorted out the name, they sorted out telling all the teachers and my year, and then that was it. But sometimes I did have issues, and sometimes I did want to speak to a member of staff, so I think it's really important to check in, especially if there aren't that many trans people in school. It can feel really isolating and like you're on your own, because you pretty much are. Just to check in with students, see how they're doing. If there's any major issues, that would have been really helpful for me.